you have traveled to our little town to visit your college. I'm Margaret Haberstick. I'm the Director of P.E.O. Relations, and I and my assistant Linda have been working along behind the scenes for many months, along with very many people, to prepare this day for you. So we're very, very glad that you are here. So very first on the agenda is our president, Dr. Jann Weitzel.
Good morning and welcome to Cottey College. We are extremely excited to have you here for the 2018 P.E.O. Visit Day. Thank you for joining us here today, and thank you for your unshakable and continual support of our college. I truly appreciate all of you that have chosen to be here. I appreciate the distances that you had to travel. I appreciate the very brave few BILs in the audience. And I really appreciate our fan group up here. So, as you may have noticed, Cottey is a pretty busy place. We typically would have had this event next door in the auditorium, but rehearsals are now taking place for a very, very exciting event that will take place tomorrow here on campus. It's called 100 Years of Bernstein, and it celebrates the music of Leonard Bernstein. It brings together our wind ensemble, our chamber singers, and students from the Nevada High School. And they will all be in performance tomorrow afternoon, and actually they're rehearsing this morning. And when you go on your tours, you'll have the opportunity to sneak into the back of the auditorium and get a taste of what's going on. The events scheduled for today are designed to inform, inspire, and to celebrate everything that has come before and everything that is yet to come. As you know, Cottey is in a time of change. Change in the programs being offered, change in the means and methods of recruiting and retaining our students, and change in who Cottey is today and who Cottey will be in the future. But rest assured, my friends, the mission of Cottey will never change. Since 1884, it has been our mission, established by Virginia Alice Cottey, to offer an incredible educational experience to women. Now, important to this discussion, though, is who we came from or where we came from, and also to acknowledge our founder, Virginia Alice Cottey. She was inspired to create a residential school for girls and young women to ensure that they had the opportunity to receive an excellent education. Alice was a woman of vision. With $3,000, she traveled across the country with her sister Dora to find the right place for her school. They were looking for a location to educate girls and women to be thinking, knowledgeable, mature adults. Now consider for a moment the many options that she had. But in 1884, she and Dora were invited to Nevada, Missouri, and there she opened her very first school on land donated by the community of Nevada. They built a 2-story red brick building. And you may be interested to know, that red brick building stands as the center of Main Hall yet today. Now keep in mind, during those first years of the school, the students were shuttled from one place to another by horse-drawn streetcars, or they walked. They were not allowed to attend the theater because Alice believed that actors led immoral lives. And for those of us who majored in theater, that's kind of whatever. Students were expected to dress with hats and gloves whenever they went into the town of Nevada. And within the first few years, an epidemic of scarlet fever hit our community and quarantined Cottey for 2 weeks. Now in March 1926, Alice became a member of P.E.O. Chapter DW, a chapter that still exists right here in Nevada, Missouri. She discovered that her new sisters were very interested in the education of women, and she learned about their aid that had made it possible for young women to attend college. And she knew that Cottey College would be a true asset to the Sisterhood. She is quoted as saying that it came almost like a revelation to her that this is where, the Sisterhood is where Cottey College belonged. So as you might imagine, a correspondence quickly took up with the Supreme Chapter President, Mrs. Alice Scott. Now, just a week before the Supreme Chapter was to meet, a committee was appointed to meet Alice in Kansas City to decide whether or not they should assume responsibility for Cottey College. Could they get all the details worked out in that short amount of time? Well, we know P.E.O.s. We know that when we're given a job, we make it happen. So Alice attended the convention, and she spoke from the platform, and she told her story. Now, when she finished her talk, she was not prepared for the shocked looks on the faces of the women in attendance. First, there was silence, and then a rousing applause. Now, it was decided that no action would be taken that day, but rather a vote would be taken on accepting the school in the morning. Oh, you can imagine, there was much conversation that evening, discussions of the pros and the cons of accepting responsibility for a college. Now, when the votes were counted and Alice realized the tremendous courage it took for the P.E.O. Sisterhood to take on this responsibility, she said that her eyes filled with tears. She rose, and with a steady voice, she said these words, quote, "From the bottom of my heart, I thank you. As I have been sitting here, I've been thinking about how strange are the ways of God to man. At the time when the P.E.O. Sisterhood was beginning to foster the education of women, in a small town in Missouri, I was struggling with the same goal. As I look at a bowl of marguerites tied with a yellow and white, I thought of a group of young girls sitting in a plain study hall, taking a vote on their school colors and their school flower. They also, coincidentally, decided on marguerite and the yellow and white. The rest, they say, is history. P.E.O. and Cottey College have been partners in the education of women for over 90 years. 90 years. Two organizations joined together. One, a philanthropic educational organization, and the other, an institution of higher education for women. Two amazing institutions, two amazing organizations with one goal, the education of women. So just consider for a moment the stated purpose of P.E.O. from the website. It says to celebrate the achievement of women, to educate women through scholarship, grants, and awards, and to motivate women to achieve their highest aspirations, end quote. At Cottey, we have the same mission, to educate, to celebrate, to advance, and to motivate women. And just as Cottey encourages women from all over the globe and all over the United States and the world to open new doors to their future, Cottey also encourages women from over 20 countries and 35 states annually. Women who start at Cottey or transfer in, women who are full-time or part-time, women who live in our suites or commute, women who desire an education. We encourage all of them to earn a degree that can change their lives. Further, Cottey and P.E.O. are both about developing bonds of friendship and sisterhood that span the years. We know that as P.E.O.s, we work together. We work together with the woman next door, or we work together with the woman across the country. to ensure that women of all ages and means can afford an education. Now at Cottey, these bonds are created by living and working and learning in an environment that is supportive and an environment that is collaborative. The friendships and the networks that our students receive at Cottey, just like the friendships and the networks of those of us who are fortunate enough to be members of the P.E.O. Sisterhood, are lifelong. So let me pause and ask a question here. If a young woman were to come up to you and say, why should I go to college? Or more specifically, why should I go to Cottey College? What would you say to that? What would you say to her? Why should that young woman leave home, perhaps travel hundreds or thousands of miles, arrive in a rural community where the nearest Starbucks is 60 miles away, where heat, humidity, mosquitoes, thunderstorms, tornadoes, ice and snow abound, to attend a college with no boys? Now I know you've heard every single one of those comments. My dear friends, the answer is really simple: opportunity. A college education at Cottey gives our women the opportunity to read the words and appreciate the works of the most celebrated thinkers and artists of all times. That's the definition of liberal arts and sciences: to learn to be a critical thinker, a problem solver, to learn to make ethical decisions, to learn to conduct research and use the scientific method, to be a strong communicator, to look at issues from new and different perspectives, to question, and to think for herself, not simply to believe what someone else has told her to believe. After 4 years, our students leave Cottey College educated women, women who can form their own ideas and not simply accept what someone else tells them to believe. Women have the opportunity to learn about tolerance and learn to appreciate cultural differences, to travel and experience the world, to plan for her future and that next step, whether it be graduate school or the job market, and to learn to be a member of a team. Could be in the classroom, on the athletic field, as a member of a cast or musical group, or as part of a co-curricular activity. And to experience being a leader, to develop those important leadership skills that will be useful in their lives and their jobs far beyond the walls of Cottey College. Now, over the summer, I had the opportunity to attend 6 state conventions. Now, one of the questions that I was often asked was, do you think women's colleges will continue to survive? Okay, I need you to answer that. Do you think women's colleges will continue to survive?
Yes.
Absolutely. Why? In addition to the fact that women who attend women's colleges are 17% more likely to be prepared for their first job, and 26% more likely to attend graduate school when compared to women who attend co-ed institutions, all women's education provides women with the voice and the confidence to thrive in that male-dominated world. Students are given the opportunity to find and hone their leadership skills in a collaborative environment, one that supports each member. Now keep in mind, all organizations at Cottey College are led by a woman. Of course, what a wonderful role model. Women's colleges are places where students can encourage one another, where acceptance and respect for diverse values and beliefs prevail. Women's colleges are places where students defy the gender norms to enroll in classes that are often dominated by men, such as the math and sciences, in an academic community that encourages and values student-centered learning. And women's colleges are important, and I use P.E.O. as evidence of this. We all know the importance of a women's organization that supports women, that gives women a voice, and a women's college has the same goal: to educate and support women. You know, I'm often asked another question: Who is the Cottey student? Well, let me tell you, our students are bright, they're outgoing, they're confident, and desirous of receiving a quality education. And you'll meet some of those students today. And let me just give you a few just facts. And these aren't things I expect anyone to ever remember, but it should create a picture in your mind. Last academic year, the average high school GPA of students coming to Cottey was a 3.4. 30% of our freshman class was either a U.S. minority or an international student. And of that 30%, 10% was international, 8% Hispanic, 5% African American. And I can tell you this fall, the one we've just started, our freshman class is up by 11%. And we're extremely proud of that. Last year, 31% of our students were first generation. 18% were legacy, meaning a female relative attended Cottey. 32% were athletes, and this number is growing. Students came from Cottey from 32 different states. Missouri, California, Texas, Arizona, and Washington sent us the greatest number of students. And students came from 18 different countries. Nigeria and Zimbabwe sent us the most students, leading Cottey to be named the #2 for being highest percentage of international students in the Midwest region, according to the U.S. News and World Report. The majority of our students live on campus, but our commuter population is growing. 70% last year were enrolled in the bachelor program. Think about that. So 70% of last year's students were earning a 4-year degree. The biggest enrollments were in biology, health sciences, psychology, business, and English. 98% of our students received financial aid. And at the time of graduation last year, and this is important to remember, while the average loan debt in the United States at the time of graduation from the baccalaureate degree was $40,000, at Cottey it was half that amount. In the spring last year, 25 of our students completed internships and 17 went on a semester abroad to China, England, Finland, Nigeria, Argentina, Chile, Ghana, France, or Japan. And now remember, every single student at Cottey College has an experience during spring break. It used to be only the sophomore class, but last year our amazing Board of Trustees approved that trip for every single student. So if a student transfers to Cottey after the sophomore year, once she's been here and earned 24 hours, she also has the opportunity to travel on that trip. Now, many students say about Cottey that Cottey gave them the opportunity to learn in a collaborative, not a competitive setting, to find their voices, to learn how to use those voices, and to never allow their voices to be silenced. Now, I'd like to real quickly show you the video of our new brand. So I'm going to ask Margaret to come out here and take care of this, because she can start the video, whereas I will probably goof it up. Margaret?
Since 1884, Cottey College has believed in women, believed in its students, believed in its mission, believed in action, believed in leadership, believed in service, believed in global awareness, believed in a better tomorrow. A legendary pastime of changing the future. And we're just getting started. Cottey students come here not only to learn, they come here to lead. They don't find themselves, they make themselves. They don't do what they can, they do what they must. Cottey students emerge into the learners and leaders they have the potential to become, and they continue the mission of the bold women who came before them. Introducing the next era of women's education. The next era of women's leadership. The next era of global good. Introducing the next era of Cottey College. Cottey College, creators of incredible futures.
Everyone at Cottey College is involved in creating incredible futures. The faculty, the staff, the alumnae, the board of trustees, all the friends of the college. The whole idea is for students to have the opportunities to create their own incredible futures. And you, my friends, are big in that area. The fact that the P.E.O. Sisterhood and the BILs create incredible futures by recruitment efforts, financial support through scholarships and sweet endowments, and through your emotional and financial support of our students and our suites. You help students by letting them know that there are 230,000 P.E.O.s and their BILs out there supporting them. So I thank you for that. Now, as I close, I have a question. I am hopeful that in the last few moments, I have created within you a fan for Cottey College. Are you now fans of Cottey College? When we are a fan, we get excited about something. So my message to you is, folks, let's get excited. Let's talk about Cottey. Let's tell Cottey's story. Let's encourage high school girls to come for a visit. Plan a trip to Cottey. Bring your friends back with you. Remember, we're just around the corner for Branson. In short, take everything that you're learning today, everything that you're being offered this weekend, and help continue creating incredible futures for our students. Now, I am very excited to introduce a few people that will be coming to the stage now. So if you would all like to come on out. First, I would like to introduce Denise Hedges. She is director of the Helen and George Washburn Center for Women's Leadership. With her, and please wave, Darlena Rose, Miranda Owens, and Justina Endambukwa.
Good morning, sisters. My name is Denise Carrick Hedges, and I'm a P.E.O. in Chapter KK, Missouri. And I serve as the Director of Leadership Development at Cottey College through the Sarenbetz Institute for Women's Leadership, Social Responsibility, and Global Awareness. We have several initiatives in place through the Sarenbetz Institute that supports leadership development for our students, and that includes the Leadership Experiences and Opportunities Certification Program, granting opportunities for students to travel for leadership immersions or research, and in addition, credit-bearing classes that lead to a certificate in organizational leadership or a baccalaureate degree in organizational leadership. I have the privilege of working with some amazing students who really care about becoming a better leader. I get to share 3 of those students with you today. So over the next 30 minutes, you will hear from 3 of our students as they share their incredible stories about women's leadership, social responsibility, and global awareness. We will begin by each student making brief introductory remarks, and then if time allows, we'll open it up to audience questions. So as you hear them speak, you might consider thinking of questions you might want to ask. So let's see, I know I need to do this. Miranda Owens is our first panelist this morning. Miranda is a 3rd-year student majoring in psychology. Born in England, Miranda moved to France at the age of 6. You might wonder how Miranda came to Cottey. Miranda's mother, Belinda Ann Priscilla Mullenix, is a Cottey graduate from the class of 1978. Miranda, why don't you tell us a bit about your journey to Cottey and your experiences so far?
Awesome. Okay, hello everyone. So even though I am a legacy and my mom is a Cottey graduate, I actually didn't hear much about Cottey growing up. It wasn't until I started asking my mom questions about college that I actually started hearing about this magical place called Cottey College. And let me tell you that at 12 years old, I was hooked. The main reason why, because I was so fascinated about the communities that my mom had built whilst being here. She's actually still in contact with some of her seniors to this day, but also how much Cottey emphasized women's empowerment. I registered pretty late for Cottey, and on a bright day of February of my senior year, I got the golden ticket. I was going to Cottey. I was overjoyed and very excited about the new adventures that were awaiting me. Before I could even realize, I had taken most of my dreaded end of high school year diploma, finished working my job for the summer, and I was starting to pack. Now, that was a challenge. What do you pack for college, especially a college in a foreign country that you had never been to before? I ended up packing the bare essentials and thankfully being able to close my suitcase. Making the trip from Brittany, France to Nevada, Missouri was quite a journey. The first step was taking a bus to a larger city, and then the bus to Paris, which was 8 hours long, then fly to Sweden, and then Chicago, and then to take a bus to St. Louis, and then to Kansas City, and finally, a driver came and picked me up and took me to Cottey. This was a real adventure. How long did it take in total? 48 hours. It seemed like the traveling would never end. And in that car ride to Cottey, the only thing on my mind was seeing the sign saying Cottey College. When I arrived, I remember being struck by how big Nevada and the campus were. My town in Brittany was only 3,000 people. As a comparison, here in Nevada, we have about 10,000 people. We parked in the Circle Drive, and the driver helped me carry my belongings into Robertson Hall. I was so overwhelmed by all the traveling, the new sounds, smells, food, the heat. Amidst of all of this, we ran into Brittany Lear, one of my seniors. I was so lost when she asked me which suite I needed to go to. I said, Wisconsin. She started mildly screeching. I was very confused, but then she said that she had been waiting for me for days. And that is how I met one of my dear seniors, Brittany. Brittany took me up to Wisconsin suite, and since I had arrived a couple days late, everyone was already in there, already settled in. All of a sudden, Rowan Carter, another one of my dear seniors, asked if I was the person from France. I had just the time to say yes that they offered me a hug. That is how I met my other dear senior, Rowan. In not even 5 minutes of arriving here, I had found my community, and I am so grateful to Cottey to have offered me that. Having this strong of a community is truly something very unique to Cottey. Throughout my years here, and still today with this panel and this speech, Cottey has provided me with opportunities to grow and develop as a leader. My professors challenged me to go further, dig deeper, and get out of my comfort zone. My dance peers, and especially my dance teacher, Professor Joe Burns, showed me what dedication and passion really looked like. I wasn't very confident in my dance abilities coming in, but by being given different opportunities, they helped me to see that I can and should be confident. By doing so, I found myself loving improvisation even more than I had before. I was even given the opportunity to improvise twice by myself during the dance company concerts. I remember dreading each time before, being on cloud 9 during, and wishing I could continue on when it was over. I used to be very reliant on structure, but these experiences in dance taught me that complete structure is merely just a concept, and sometimes in life, you've got to just improvise. I'm very excited to see what the next 2 years bring for me. I feel like being here, being challenged as a leader, and my community has helped me become more who I wish to be.
Thank you, Miranda. I know that Professor Joe Burns has given you opportunities to choreograph your own pieces. Could you tell the audience a little bit about what goes into that process?
Of course. So choreographing a piece is really challenging, something that I only really got to try out here. I was used to choreographing on myself, using improvisation when needed. Taking that vision onto someone else is extremely different because we all approach movement differently. How I ended up approaching it was just letting the dancer move how they normally would with a given movement. I wanted to make sure that both of my choreographies had a little bit of the dancer's personality and touch to make it both more enjoyable for them but also for the public. Actually coming up with the movement was very difficult for me too. I spent countless nights in the dance studio trying to come up with movement. This was hard because I knew that whatever I came up with, once I put it onto my dancers, the choreography would look very different than what I would have imagined. Letting go of that desire to make my choreography look perfect was really something that I worked on a lot because it was hindering my creativity, but also giving me a lot of unnecessary stress. Once I got over that hurdle several times, it made the process much more enjoyable for me and for my dancers. And then finally, seeing it all done and all on stage changes everything. Everything comes into place and finally makes sense.
Thank you, Miranda. Our next panelist, Darlena Rose, is a fourth-year student studying organizational leadership. In her 4 years at Cottey, Darlena has been an active participant, eager learner, and major contributor. I've had the privilege of working with Darlena for the last 4 years in the Leadership Experiences Opportunity Program, known as LEO, where she completed all 4 levels of the program and now serves as a LEO luminary, mentoring other LEO students. Darlena, please share with us a little bit about your story.
My journey to discover myself and grow as a leader began as a child and has been developed farther in my experiences at Cottey. I grew up with my single mother and her 4 other children. At the end of 4th grade, my family was evicted from our apartment. We spent the next 2 years homeless as we struggled to find a place that was big enough for our family, and we would rent to somebody with an eviction. The experience wasn't easy, but it made me more resilient. I told myself that I was going to work hard in school and go to college so that I could get a career that would support me and my family. I never wanted to be homeless again. I made it my goal to do whatever I could to make it to college and graduate with a bachelor's degree. From this experience, I learned the value of hard work, positivity, and perseverance. While this experience shaped me and my future, my experiences at Cottey have continued to help shape my incredible future. My first Cottey experience came during the summer workshop during my junior year of high school. During the workshop, I attended a session about social justice. At the time, I didn't really know much about social justice, but after the class, I discovered that I had a strong interest in it and helping others. After the session, everyone from the workshop was brought back together, and some of the counselors asked us if anyone would like to share what they had just learned at the session. I was typically a quiet and shy person, but my hand shot up because I felt empowered to share what I had learned. That moment was so impactful that I knew that if I came to Cottey, I would learn to use my voice. Now that I am in my 4th year, I can tell you now, without a doubt, that I have a voice and that I can use it to share my truth and inspire others. Through my leadership studies, I've gained confidence in myself. My 2nd year as my Leo Presidential Leadership Service Project, I created the Imagine, Believe, Achieve 5K, working with volunteers from the cross-country and track team, along with other campus volunteers. In that first year, our 5K raised more than $500 for a local organization that supports homeless individuals in the community. Last spring, I'm pleased to say that the Imagine, Believe, Achieve 5K took place for a 2nd year. Working with organizations in Nevada, I created the Prosper Fund, which delegates the funds raised from the 5K to fill a need in the community that will help others to prosper. I used to have a lot of limiting beliefs about myself. Cottey has given me the tools and resources to develop my skills and the confidence to believe I can, and already do, make a difference.
Darlena, you are certainly an impressive young woman who has already done so much to make a difference in the community. Could you tell us a little bit about your plans post-graduation next spring?
It's coming up soon. My goal is to eventually start a nonprofit that would be about community development. Right before my family became homeless, we lived in the Free Valley neighborhood in Vancouver, Washington. It had a strong sense of community where the elementary school served as a hub of resources that helped families, especially my family, during a hard time. My experience with Free Valley planted a seed about the importance of community on someone's well-being. Then I came to Cottey and had the opportunity to learn about Healthy Nevada, which is a nonprofit in this community that that works with community development to generate possibilities and improve health. This academic year, I am interning with Healthy Nevada to continue to learn about community development. It's interesting because I used to be ashamed of my past homeless experience. I didn't share or talk about it with anyone. I made it my goal to do everything I could to avoid having that experience ever again. I recently realized that I need to embrace that experience and own my story, and use it to help improve the lives of others and make a difference. It's like that saying, when life gives you lemons, make lemonade. I'm taking a sour experience and using it to create my incredible future. I will continue to learn and grow. I'm not quite ready to create a nonprofit right after graduation. So I plan to build on my leadership skills that I've learned at Cottey by working at other nonprofits or social responsible businesses. I currently don't have anything lined up yet, but I'm confident that I will find the right place for me.
Thank you, Darlena. Our next panelist, Justina Dambakua, is a 3rd-year student from Zimbabwe. Justina is studying biology with an interest in women's studies and women's health. I believe Justina is a student that exemplifies Cottey's thread of global awareness. Justina, will you please tell our audience about the opportunities you've had to develop as a global citizen?
Today's world is getting more globally connected, and most of the world's problems are requiring global conversations to reach global solutions. The media does not cover all these issues, and sometimes being part of the people undergoing the problem is the only way we can understand the solutions. Cottey College has been a place that activates globally aware citizens, and I am privileged to be part of such an amazing school which has a system that promotes global awareness. I believe if we have global citizens, global solutions will be found for global problems. Not only have I benefited from Cottey's mission of increasing global awareness, but I recall countless times when I have had to share my own Zimbabwean culture with P.E.O.s during my Golden Key tours. They have loved asking me questions and getting to hear the information they didn't know. In April, I hosted a prospective student during See for Yourself, and she shared with me that if I had not visited Cottey, I would not have known all that she told me about Zimbabwe. Cottey is such a small school, but it is very diverse, and that's why I'm strongly interested in coming. And right now she's a freshman. 15 years ago in first grade, I never thought my dream of visiting the Taj Mahal would be made possible. But thanks to Cottey's international travel opportunity for second-year students during spring break, I visited the Taj in spring 2018. One of the moments that impacted me were moments spent with individuals from all over the world at Cottey. Before March 2018, I'd only been accustomed to the African and American cultures, but on the trip to India and Sri Lanka, now I can add on to say I'm also aware of the South Asian culture. The diversity within the students and faculty is amazing, and also a great way for students to be globally aware. On my spring break trip, going with the faculty that is from the two countries was so much helpful because they clarified a lot of things. In February, I also had the privilege to be amongst individuals who are passionate about improving global health. Traveling with Cottey chemistry professors Dr. Fernando and Dr. Ross, along with other Cottey students, I attended the Global Health Conference at Creighton University in Omaha, Nebraska. At this conference, I met a lot of diverse people, striving to tackle global issues in all continents of the world. As a biology major, pre-dentistry track, this got me connected to some of the organizations which have the same passion as me. In April, I was very grateful that the Cerebus Institute funded me to attend the JEPA Women's Entrepreneurship Competition at Smith College. I was part of the 60 semi-finalists, which were selected out of approximately 600 applicants. If it was not for the help I received from Cottey, I would not have been able to know about the various innovations I learned at this conference. Over the summer, I attended Oxfam Change Leaders Training as one of the national leaders selected by Oxfam America. Looking back, these ordinary portions and moments have been extraordinary as they added to my global citizenship knowledge. I'm grateful to Cottey College, which believed in me by giving me a place at this incredible college. The faculty and staff will continue to light the spark in me, and the P.E.O.s whose support makes Cottey as a whole flourish beyond anyone's expectation.
Justina, you mentioned you were selected as an Oxfam Change Leader and attended special training this summer. Tell us what you hope to accomplish this year as an Oxfam Change Maker on Cottey's campus.
So Oxfam America is an organization that aims to tackle injustice in the world and also poverty. So what I learned is that poverty is man-made and we can try by all means to eradicate it. So the knowledge that I gained from the training, I hope to bring it on campus and encourage us women at Cottey College to be advocates for social justice. And also this past weekend I had the privilege to go to New Orleans for the National Summit of Social Determinants of Health. And some of the things I learned there, like education and policies, can be great determinants of someone's health. So since I'm passionate about global health and also social justice, and as an Oxfam Change Leader, I plan to educate people here at college and share what's going on around the world so that people will be activists and also advocate for people who are experiencing injustices and poverty around the world.
Impressive young women at Cottey College. We have just a few minutes before we need to wrap up and head out on campus tours. So I'd like to give you all an opportunity to ask, I have 2 minutes? Oh, I can take 2 questions. Okay. 2 questions from the audience. Does anyone have a question you would like to address to one of our panelists, or a question open to any one of them?
Yes. My question to all 3 of you is, what would you do if you could improve Cottey?
Miranda, the microphone.
I think, at least for me, coming from France, we actually, with Cottey, we do have a liaison with the Légion d'honneur, which is in Paris. So they always send Cottey 2 students every single year. I didn't come from that. I came by myself with the opportunity with my mum. So I think how I would improve Cottey, at least for me, would be I would take all the great things about Cottey, bring it back to my country, and try and recruit even more people and let them know that they can go to the United States and they can go to an all-women's school and they can experience everything that I have experienced, because they probably have no idea what this place is about. So that's how I would improve it.
Yes, I thought I saw a hand.
I was just wondering, I know how Miranda got here, but how the other 2 women got here, how they heard about Cottey, P.E.O., or how that was introduced to them.
Yeah, so my stepmom is actually a P.E.O. And yeah, so one day she pulled out the P.E.O. record and she opened it up and started telling me about Cottey. And so at the time, I was only looking at universities in Washington State. And when she was telling me about Cottey, it didn't have a 4-year science degree at the time, which is what I was looking for. It didn't have a cross-country program. And it was so far away from home. So she was telling me about it, and I was like, well, thank you for showing me Cottey, but I don't think it's a school for me. And then she told me about the summer workshop, which I talked about in my speech. And she was like, well, I think you should go to this. Like, you don't have to commit to the school, but I think it's a leadership workshop, and it'd just be a good experience for you. So I came, and you all know how that went. So, yeah, and I chose Cottey. And by the time I came, they had a cross-country program. They had a 4-year science degree. We actually have a couple now. And so, yeah.
So as for me, my sister came here first before I came here. And also my little sister is gonna come, she just got accepted, so yay! And also when I applied, I wanted an all-women's college, so I applied to about 7 all-women's colleges in the United States. And of course, in Zimbabwe at the U.S. Education Advising Center, if you tell them you want an all-women's college, Cottey College is the first college they tell you about. So I applied to Cottey and at the all-women's colleges, and I got accepted to 4 of them, including Cottey. But of course, Cottey had the best financial aid, so that's why I really love it.
As you can imagine, I love my job. I think I have the best job in the world, probably. I get to work with these amazing young women who care about developing into women who will go out into the world and make a huge difference. I'm so glad that you were here today. You were able to meet 3 of the leadership students who work with us in our leadership program, but today you will meet even more. And I'm sorry I didn't do that. But I will hand the microphone over to Margaret, who has some announcements. Thank you all.